Hatred isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a subtle smile masking a clenched fist. It's a polite nod in public, followed by quiet sabotage in private. True hatred is patient. It doesn't explode. It waits. It watches. It plans. And when it strikes, the damage is already done. Relationships fracture. Careers crumble. Families break. The worst part, most men never see it coming. They doubt themselves instead of questioning the one who's been poisoning their well for years. In this video, we'll uncover 5 undeniable signs of true hatred, the kind that seeps into your life like a slow toxin. These aren't fleeting moods or petty conflicts. These signs are deep patterns that, once recognized, will transform how you guard your inner peace forever. If you value clarity, trust, and your future, you must know these signs before it's too late. Stay with me until the end. And if you're ready to see the world with clear eyes, hit subscribe, like this video, share it with a brother who needs to hear it, and drop a comment below. I guard my peace with iron resolve. Now, let's begin. The first sign: they quietly work against your success. This is where it gets real. Brothers, if you've walked this earth long enough, you've felt this sting. Some men don't just hate you, they crave your failure. Not in a burst of anger, but with cold, calculated intent. They don't shout. They don't rage. Instead, they're silent saboteur, planting doubt in others, pulling strings behind the scenes, ensuring no trace remains in the chaos they create. On the surface, they may seem supportive, even friendly, but every smile hides a quiet thrill at the thought of your downfall. The cruelest truth is most men don't notice until the damage is done. A clear sign of true hatred is when someone quietly but fiercely blocks your path to victory. They aren't the ones openly opposing you. At least then you'd have a chance to defend yourself. No, this is the man who nods at your words, cheers your ideas, then subtly shifts the ground so those ideas never take root. Picture a coworker who always forgets to send you that critical email before a big meeting but sends it to everyone else. Or a family member who, in casual chats, quietly chips away at your reputation. Maybe saying you've been stressed lately or that you've always been a bit reckless. These small remarks don't stand out at the moment, but over time, they build a narrative about you that you can't counter. This isn't carelessness or incompetence. It's deliberate sabotage. At work, these men might help on a project, but miss deadlines or lose key information. Knowing you'll take the fall, they might steal your ideas and present them as their own, or subtly highlight your smallest mistakes to diminish your strengths. In personal life, they play the same game. They sow discord between you and those you care about, not with bold accusations but with sly hints and half-truths that erode trust. Over time, you notice patterns, invitations you never get, opportunities that vanish without reason, and friends who suddenly act distant without explanation. From a Stoic's perspective, the challenge is clear. It's not just spotting these patterns, but responding without being consumed by anger. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the harm others cause only has power if you grant it space in your mind. That doesn't mean ignoring sabotage. It means refusing to let it dictate your inner state. A Stoic knows men can be malicious, but he chooses not to let their malice disrupt his calm. The practical approach is twofold: stay vigilant and master yourself. Instead of reacting emotionally to every slight, track consistency. Is that missed message a one-off, or a habit? Does that offhand remark about you stand alone or echo in conversations you weren't part of? When you see someone waging a silent war against you, the worst thing you can do is confront them in anger. That's what they want. It makes you look unhinged while they play the victim. Instead, the Stoic way is to quietly remove their influence, share less with them, document key interactions, build alliances with those who see your true character. If possible, deliver results so undeniable that their whispers can't compete with your success. The truth is, subtle sabotage thrives in shadows. It works best when you're distracted, doubting yourself, or too trusting to see what's really happening. By bringing it to light, not through public accusations but through private awareness, you strip away its greatest weapon, secrecy. And here's the harsh truth you must embrace. To protect yourself, some men are happiest when you're at your lowest. Your failure is their quiet joy, proof of the resentment they've long harbored against you. It's tempting to try to win these men over, to prove you deserve their respect or empathy. But that's not the Stoic's path. You're not here to polish your image in their eyes. You're here to uphold your integrity, focus, and inner peace. Epictetus taught that we should only care about what's in our control, our thoughts, actions, choices, and let go of the rest. Trying to change a hater's heart is like stopping the wind with your bare hands. It only exhausts you. When you grasp this, you can shift your energy from defending yourself against them to living a life so strong that their hatred becomes irrelevant. This doesn't mean ignoring sabotage. It means managing it wisely, without losing your balance. Stay calm. Refuse to play their game, and you rob them of the one thing they crave. Your emotional reaction. Hatred feeds on the chaos it creates. A Stoic starves it by standing firm in stillness, and while spotting the first sign is crucial, it's only the beginning. Another sign, just as dangerous, eats away at you in a subtler, harder to detect way when someone's eyes light up, not at your success, but at your pain. And once you see it, you'll never unsee it. The second sign, they revel in your misfortune. This isn't just mild envy or someone in a bad mood when you share good news. This is a darker truth, men who find true satisfaction in your suffering and can't hide their glee when life hits you hard. They may cloak their reaction in polite words, but the mask never fits perfectly. A true brother listens without judgment, asks questions to understand your needs, and offers real solutions or heartfelt support. His voice, posture, and eyes radiate empathy. But a man who harbors hatred speaks the right words with the wrong energy. His eyes might glint a bit too brightly, his question probe too deeply, feeling invasive. Instead of easing your burden, his words add weight, slipping through the smallest cracks in his facade. They may lower their voice to feign concern, but you sense the hidden thrill in their cadence. They try to keep a neutral face, but a fleeting smirk betrays them. Only the sharp-eyed will catch it. They inquire about your struggles not to help, but because your misfortune is their entertainment. A so-called friend, hearing about your lawsuit, might suddenly dig for every detail, offering no useful advice, yet listening like it's a gripping tale. Share good news, and their response is curt, dismissive, quickly changing the subject. Share bad news, and they suddenly have endless time to linger. They lean in, their voice gaining a spark, as if freed to revel in your hardship. On social media, their pattern is stark. They ignore your victories, but rush to comment on your struggles, cloaking their words in support while amplifying your pain for others to see. This isn't random. It's a corrosive pattern. Using your setbacks and negativity as their social currency, the danger lies not just in the emotional sting but in the slow erosion of your spirit over time. You may start doubting whether you can trust anyone with your vulnerabilities. You might stop sharing your wins, sensing they're not welcomed. And that's their goal, to shrink your emotional openness until the only version of you they see is the one struggling. That version feeds their ego. It validates their superiority. It fuels their silent victory. From a Stoic's view, this is where mental discipline becomes your shield. Marcus Aurelius said, "We're not disturbed by things, but by our judgments of them." When someone delights in your hardship, the human instinct is anger or hurt. A Stoic sees their reaction for what it is: proof of their character, not yours. Instead of clashing in an emotional storm, you adjust your boundaries. You share less. You choose what parts of your life they see. You guard your energy like a fortress protects its gates. This doesn't mean retreating from the world or distrusting everyone. It means watching behavior patterns, not just isolated acts. One off-key reaction might be minor, but a consistent pattern of glee at your struggles is a different beast. You handle it not by changing them, but by reclaiming control over your own emotions. As Epictetus taught, a wise man's freedom lies in knowing the limits of his control. You can't make someone celebrate your success if they choose hatred, but you can refuse to let their reaction diminish you. When you grasp this sign, you're ready for something worse. Because some don't just revel in your pain, they actively create it. They go beyond personal satisfaction to deliberately sabotage the most vital parts of your life. They don't just want you to stumble. They want to sever the bonds that help you rise again. And their methods are so subtle, you might not see the isolation until the damage is done. The next tactic is the most dangerous. If you value strong relationships, you must spot it before it's too late. The third sign: they turn others against you. What makes this hatred so deadly is its invisibility until the harm is already done. They don't attack openly, that would expose them. Instead, they pose as a caring friend, a trusted colleague, or a thoughtful family member. They craft an image of safety, reliability, so others confide in them. Their work begins not in helping you, but in quietly dismantling your reputation and credibility. It starts small. They drop your name in conversations, not with accusations, but with vague hints of doubt. They might say to someone, "I just hope Michael's handling things okay. He's been under a lot of pressure lately." On the surface, it sounds like concern, but it plants a seed that you're unstable or overwhelmed. They don't lie outright. They blend half-truths with missing context to make their words plausible. If you're stressed at work, they mention it, but frame it as if your judgment is slipping. If you made a mistake, they bring it up, but omit how you took responsibility and fixed it. By framing concern as reluctant and private, they build trust in themselves while making you suspect. I've seen this with David, a senior manager at a major firm. He'd built strong ties with his team over years, but a colleague, let's call him Mark, slowly became the team's emotional confidant. Mark held private talks, expressing concern for David, mentioning the pressure he was under, suggesting he might be too overwhelmed to make sound decisions, said with a sympathetic tone. These words carried a hidden message: David might no longer be reliable. Over time, David noticed meetings happening without him, projects reassigned, and colleagues giving him wary looks. Mark never openly criticized him. He didn't need to. The seeds of doubt were sown. This is called triangulation, controlling information through a middleman who shapes it to suit their ends. It's the oldest political sabotage tactic. And it works, because most men don't verify information. If you don't speak directly to those involved, you're relying on a poisoned filter. Before you know it, that filter has rewritten your story to serve their purpose. Seneca once said, "The harm others do to you is nothing compared to the harm you do yourself by believing them." This is where the Stoics' wisdom shines. You can't stop their whispers, but you can prevent them from taking root in your mind. The key is to hold fast to what you know is true and keep direct, open lines with those who matter. If a brother grows distant, reach out directly. If a colleague starts avoiding you, have a straight talk instead of leaning on rumors. Don't let the manipulator play the middleman they crave to be. Cut them out of the information loop as much as you can. They target your closest bonds because they know your strength lies in those connections. If they can make you doubt your allies or make them doubt you, they weaken you without ever facing you head-on. That's why sudden shifts in how people treat you always deserve scrutiny. When someone who once trusted you turns cold without reason, ask who they've been spending time with and what seeds of doubt might have been planted in their minds. The Stoics' greatest weapon isn't blind suspicion, but clarity. See that some will use kindness as a mask for sabotage. Your role isn't to chase every rumor or defend yourself to everyone. It's to stand firm, speak plainly, and never let anyone else narrate your life's story. Because once you give up that power, you've handed them the tools to fulfill their purpose. This clarity prepares you for something darker, a sign that reveals not just malice but a deep understanding of human weakness. The fourth sign, they mimic you while trying to outshine you. This hatred doesn't just wish you ill, it seeks to steal your place, to live as your shadow but claim superiority. This isn't healthy competition or admiration driving growth. It's an obsession laced with resentment. One of the most unsettling behaviors you'll face. When a man truly hates you, he studies you with a focus more like surveillance than curiosity. They watch how you dress, where you go, who you associate with, how you speak, even how you present yourself publicly. But their aim isn't to learn from you. They want to copy you, strip away your uniqueness, then claim they've done it better. This stems from a deep insecurity within them. You embody something they believe they deserve, but can't naturally achieve. Maybe it's your ease in connecting with others, the respect you've earned in your career, or the stability you've built in your life. Instead of forging their own path, they make you their benchmark. They think that by beating you at your own game, they'll prove their worth to the world and themselves. And since their self-worth is tied to surpassing you, their mimicry never stops. It escalates. Consider Pablo Picasso and his rival, Georges Braque. At first, their collaboration sparked creativity, but it turned personal. Braque began copying Picasso's work so closely it was hard to tell them apart. To the world, it looked like mutual inspiration. But Picasso saw the truth. This wasn't homage, it was an attempt to erase his identity and claim dominance. That's the nature of toxic mimicry. It doesn't create value, it obliterates origins. When someone draws healthy inspiration from you, they build on your ideas with their own vision and credit your influence. But when they hate you, their approach is parasitic. They copy your ideas, wholesale, tweak them slightly to polish their image, then parade them as their own. At work, they might mimic your proposal, change a few details, and submit it as theirs. In personal life, they chase your interests, but rush to show they're more skilled or passionate than you ever were. This isn't about sharing joy, it's about erasing your ownership. The greatest danger is that this often comes with gaslighting. They might accuse you of copying them, flipping the narrative, so you seem like the imitator, while they're the innovator. This reversal doesn't just harm your reputation, it reinforces their story of superiority. Over time, you feel like you're living in a distorted mirror, where your every choice is shadowed by someone trying to outdo you. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." That's the antidote to their game. When you stop needing to beat them, you cut off the fuel they thrive on. The Stoics' response isn't to compete harder on their turf, but to step away from the comparison entirely. Your refusal to engage starves their obsession. No matter how much they mimic you, they can't replicate your inner foundation unless you let them dictate your actions. You'll know this sign by how you feel around them, or even just thinking about them. True inspiration leaves you energized, even proud. Toxic competition leaves you drained, insecure, always on guard. If you notice someone who seems to exist in your life only to copy and surpass you, that unease is a warning worth heeding. Your instincts are telling you, this man isn't here to walk beside you. He wants to rewrite your story with himself as the star. The longer you let this dynamic persist, the more it saps your emotional energy. You start living on edge, anticipating their next move. And before you know it, you're trapped in the same competitive cycle they're caught in. The Stoic's path demands you let go of that pull. You set your boundaries firm. You remember your life's worth isn't measured by another's achievements. When you stay calm, letting them play their petty games without joining in, you win. In the only way that matters, you keep your peace, your identity, and your focus. And with that, we reach the fifth and final sign, the one that ties all the pieces together. This sign is the most revealing and the most dangerous, as it strikes at how you experience those around you every day. Once you see it, it's etched in your mind forever. The fifth sign, every interaction with them leaves you drained. This isn't about a tense conversation or catching someone on a bad day. It's a consistent pattern that wears down your confidence, energy, and inner peace. Each time you engage with them, you might not notice it at first, because nothing overtly dramatic happens in these exchanges. But afterward, you're left uneasy, slightly anxious, or even angry without a clear reason. You replay the conversation in your head, searching for the exact moment things went off course. That's the trap. There's rarely a single clear moment, because the damage is delivered in small, deliberate doses, slipping past your conscious defense. When a man truly hates you, he can emit toxic energy, even in the most ordinary conversations. Their tone may be calm, their words polite, but their presence carries a corrosive edge. Your instincts catch it before your logic does. Without realizing it, you're expending mental energy staying vigilant, guarding against subtle attacks, too small to name, but too sharp to ignore. It shows in the smallest details, a compliment that feels faintly mocking, a smirk after a comment that hits your vulnerabilities, or casual mentions of your past mistakes framed as harmless anecdotes. Picture someone glancing at your work and saying, "It's better than I expected," or eyeing your home and noting, "It's decent for this neighborhood." Each comment is cloaked in thin civility, but carries a blade meant to unsettle you, to make you question your worth. Over time, you change without noticing. You avoid certain topics, speak more cautiously, doubt your thoughts before sharing them. This eggshell walking isn't because you're overly sensitive, it's your mind protecting itself. Through repeated encounters, you know anything you say can be twisted against you in subtle ways. They might even deny what they clearly said or distort your words to make you seem unreasonable. This constant warping makes you question not just the relationship, but your memory, judgment, and stability. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." The danger is that when you're exposed to someone's corrosive influence, your thoughts start to take on their hue. You wonder if you're overreacting, too sensitive, or if they're right about you. That's how slow psychological warfare works. Not one big strike, but 1,000 small cuts until you doubt yourself. Once you lose faith in yourself, you're far easier to manipulate. The Stoics' response isn't to confront every slight or demand apologies for every veiled jab. That's playing their game. Instead, you step back and see the pattern clearly. You recognize that your inner peace is yours to defend, and you protect it by limiting their influence. You don't argue about their intentions that keeps you trapped in their frame. You calmly and deliberately decide your mind won't be their playground. To do this, you must trust your instincts. If you leave every interaction feeling drained, diminished, or doubtful, that's not random. Your subconscious is sounding an alarm. Your reason hasn't fully grasped. You don't need undeniable proof or a smoking gun to know they mean you harm. The impact they have on you is enough to set boundaries, to keep your distance. This subtle psychological erosion is the final and perhaps most dangerous sign of true hatred, because it doesn't just attack your reputation or steal your ideas. It aims to reshape how you see yourself at your core. If you don't catch it, you risk living with an identity someone else has maliciously rewritten. Recognizing this pattern completes the circle of the signs we've discussed. It shows that true hatred is rarely loud or chaotic. It's quiet, calculated, and patient. Once you learn to spot it, you can't pretend it's not there. How you handle this knowledge will decide whether you stay chained or step into the clarity and strength Stoics call the foundation of freedom. If you've followed this far, these 5 signs aren't just insights into human behavior, they're tools for survival. They're the difference between preserving your inner peace and spending years quietly dismantled by someone who smiles to your face while working against you. Now that you see them, you can't unsee them. You can't ignore these patterns. That means you can't pretend these men are harmless anymore. Stoicism teaches us that while we can't control the malice in others' hearts, we can control who has access to our soul. You owe no one a seat at your table if they come to poison your meal. Trust that unease in your gut when their name lights up your phone. Trust the exhaustion after every talk. Your instincts aren't paranoia. They're the wisdom of experience trying to keep you safe. Act on that wisdom. Set boundaries. Walk away if you must. And above all, don't waste energy on those who only want to drag you down. If this video hit home, if it gave you the clarity you needed, don't just scroll past. Hit subscribe now, because we're building a brotherhood of men who refuse to be manipulated, drained, or diminished. Like this video to let the algorithm know you value this truth. Share it with a brother facing a silent enemy in his life. And drop a comment below. I choose peace over poison. Asterisk. Because in the end, your greatest strength isn't proving them wrong. It's living so well that their hatred becomes irrelevant. The next video awaits to solidify all you've learned and arm you with new defenses. Click it now. Your future self will thank you.